believers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya alal salah. Hayya alal salah. Hayya alal falah. Hayya alal falah. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I seek refuge with Allah from the rejected enemy, Satan, and with Allah's name, the merciful benefactor and merciful redeemer. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Praise be to Allah, the guardian evolver, the cherisher and sustainer of all the worlds. Nasta'inahu wa nastaghfiruhu. We seek Allah's help. We ask Allah's protection, His forgiveness, His mercy. Wa mu'minu bihi azza wa jal. We believe and trust in Allah, the mighty and the majestic. And ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. I bear witness openly that there is no Allah except Allah. There is no God but Allah. Wa ashhadu wahdahu la sharika lahu, and that Allah has no partners. Wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu, and I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is Allah's last prophet to humanity for all time. Amma ba'd, this is, and what comes after this is for the purpose that we're gathered today. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for bringing me here to the New African Islamic Community Center. I always enjoy coming to share with the believers here. And like I said the last time I was here, I was kind of a special connection with this place, and I always feel that when I come here, I feel like I'm coming home. This is a great honor and a distinguished privilege to anytime you take the rostrum to speak to the believers, because you're speaking to people who have been raised up, people who've been elevated by Allah's mercy, and who can distinguish, who have a factor of being able to discern and distinguish things. So you can't walk up here and just say anything. So I'm very aware of that, and any nervousness that you might see in me is because of that. And of course, I ask Allah to help me make my presentation today, to protect me from the shaitan. And my talk today is about the bee. And there's a surah in the Quran called the bee. We know that. Surah 16, Al-Masal. I want to start by reading something from Surah 6, Ayat 38. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وما من دابة في الأرض ولا طائر يطير بجناحيه إلى أمهم أمثالكم ما فرطنا في الكتاب من شيء ثم إلى ربهم يشارون. Here it says, there's not an animal that lives on earth, nor a being that flies on its wings, but it forms parts of communities like you. Nothing have we omitted from this book, and they all will be gathered to their Lord in the end. I want to start that out with that because it does pertain to our subject. We're talking about the bee, al-nahl, the bee. Allah says further in the Quran in Surah 16, Ayat 67. Actually, 68 starts on 68. وَأَوْحَى رَبُّكَ إِلَى النَّحْلِ أَنِ أَتَّخِذِي مِنَ الْجِبَالِ بَيْتًا بُيُوتًا وَمِنَ الشَّجَرِ وَمِمَّا يَعْرِشُونَ. And your Lord taught the bee to build its cells in hills, on trees, and in men's habitations. ثم كل من كل الثمرات فأسلكي سبل ربك ذللا أخرج من بطونها شراب مختلف ألوانه فيه شفاء للناس إن في ذلك لآية لقوم يتفكرون. And that tafakkarun, you know that one, to give thought. It says here to eat of all. That is, you taught the bee to build its cells in hills and on trees, and then to eat of all the produce of the earth. It's got that in parentheses. And find with skill all the spacious paths of its Lord. There issues from within their bodies a drink of varying colors, wherein is healing for men. And verily, in this is a sign for those who give thought. So Allah brings us always back to thinking and to our rational faculties to prove what we are reading. So Allah asks us to think. This is a message for those who are wise. And that's Amabad. That's why we're here. Because we want to think. We are thinking people. So, having said that, I want to move to what man is saying about this bee. This is a recent article that was written in Science Daily. When I say recent, this was written in 2010, but that's relatively recent. For more than a century, biologists have marveled at the highly cooperative nature of ants, bees, and other social insects that work together to determine the survival and growth of a colony. The social interactions are much like cells working together in a single body, and hence the term superorganism. The superorganism is an organism comprised of many organisms, according to Dr. James Gillooly, an assistant professor in the Department of Biology at the University of Florida's Liberal Arts and Sciences. And he says, and I quote, "In life, two of the major evolutionary innovations have now," let me say this again, "two of the major evolutionary innovations have been how cells came together to function as a single organism, and how the individuals joined together to function as a society." So he talks about the cellular level, and now he's talking about the society, the greater society. Relatively speaking, we understand a considerable amount about how the size of a multicellular organism affects the life cycle of individuals based on metabolic theory. But now we are showing how the same theoretical framework helps predict the life of the whole society of organisms. So we know a whole lot about that smaller portion that is about the life cycle. But how it affects the entire thing, how it impacts the entire organism, the superorganism, just finding out. We're just scratching the surface on it. And this surah I just read is built about, it's talking about that whole thing. It actually says it all in there without having gone through all of this sophisticated language. That was hard for me even to say it, wasn't it? It sounded like it was difficult for me, right? But Allah says in very simple words, go straight to the point. Allah tells the bee to eat of all the produce on earth. And we know what the bee does. He goes out and the bee actually creates a condition in those plants and flowers out there for the plants to replicate. The plants actually are having sex. So the bee helps them inseminate each other. And because of that, we have other plants that grow. And you all know all of this. You all know this, but I'm going to bring it up because it relates to the subject. And you also know that we can't even have air if we don't have plants. So this bee is very important now. This bee is making these plants grow. And Allah tells the bee in this same surah to follow the paths. It says salaka. Follow the path. Subul. It's a plural. It's not just one. It's many paths. We can look at this many different ways. And Allah gives us the Quran, and when we read one ayah, we can sit for days and think about what Allah is trying to tell us. And this is the beauty of the Quran, and this is the beauty of the liberty Allah gives us as believers to think for ourselves. It's good to go to Harvard or Yale or some of these other places and think with other thinkers, but it's equally good for you to think on your own, because when we think on our own, like the bee, we get many benefits. So laziness is not a virtue. Whenever we hear about the bee, that's the first thing we think about, is what our grandmothers used to say, busy as a bee, right? Granddaddy used to say, he's busy as a bee. Because a bee is a creature that goes out and gets it. A bee's not sitting around the hive. Matter of fact, Um, the word be in and of itself, it has a couple definitions, right? I mean, the first thing we think of is this insect, right? But we might go to the verb to be. Now, the verb to be is an action verb, right? It connotes some type of activity. So the word itself, it say to be or not to be, right? And they say that is the question. Well, why is it the question? Because to be means that you exist. And in order to exist, if you know anything about science, even an inkling about science, in order to exist, something has got to work. Now, there are those of us who don't want to work. We figured that we were on the plantation so long and worked for free for so long till now it's time to lay back and let somebody else do the work. That's not how it works. That is not how it works. And we're learning that real quick. And Allah is helping us to define the work that we have laid out before us. And Allah also says, and within their bodies, there's this fluid, this drink of varying colors. And within that drink is a healing for the human being, for man. And what is this suggesting to us? Again, many different things can come to mind. Many things can come to mind. But you remember Imam Muhammad, and may God give him the Jannah. When we think about him, I mean, I'm moved every time I think about him because I know where I was before he came to this planet, or at least before I was aware of him. I know the path I was on. And in terms of being rooted in al-Islamic tradition, the tradition of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I have to give him credit for bringing me to where I am. But he talked about the coat of many colors, Joseph's coat of many colors. You can take it that direction if you want. But when we think of what Allah is talking about, the obvious thing is honey. He's talking about honey. Honey is very sweet. But when you really understand what the Quran is saying about going out to all these different plants and then coming back and producing this honey, that says a lot of things. There's a lot of things that that's saying. We know that a bee colony has a queen, right? And the queen, there's only one queen. If there's another queen developing if there's another queen developing once the queen they want is hatched, they kill all the other queens. There's only one. And this is a symbol for us. There's only one society we're looking for. We're looking for that society that is in line with what Allah has brought to us as a human family through the line of the prophets. That's the life we're looking for. That's the society we want. And another thing we might not be aware of is that the male bee is called a drone. I mean, maybe some of y'all know this. I didn't know that before I studied a little bit. But this drone is made from an unfertilized egg. Did y'all know that? From an unfertilized egg. The drone is made from an unfertilized egg. And the only purpose of a drone is to inseminate the queen. That's it. That's his job. Once he's finished that, they don't even let him back in the hive. Matter of fact, if he don't fly off somewhere into the sunset, they sting him to death. So the drone, that's all the purpose of the drone is. And so when we think about this, and think of this liquid, this honey that these bees are making, that comes to light. I mean, that pricks your mind, right? Makes you think of some things. Because all the workers are females. I mean, always thought that the workers were the men, you know. In the society we grew up in, that's what we think, right? Men are the workers, right? Well, in the society of this beast, all the workers are females. The drone's only purpose is to inseminate the queen so that she can make more babies. She will. And from that mating process, she'll go 4 or 5 years sometimes, making more babies. And a colony is like 30 to 40,000 bees under that one queen. And from that one insemination process, she made all the babies. And so, what does some of this stuff mean? I mean, again, there's a lot of things that come to mind, but the way I'm gonna bring it, I think of that male bee, that drone, as being the physicality. It's the body. It's just the muscle. That's all. I mean, any of us can get a sister pregnant. Any of us can live in the material world, but Allah is not guiding us just to live in the material world. We got to go out there to some flowers, okay? We got to go out there, and this is not talking about chasing sisters either. This is talking about gaining knowledge from different places. The whole universe is out there for us to explore. And we can do it. And from what we are doing here, we go out and we have intercourse in all these fields of knowledge, in all these fields of wisdom, in all these fields of comprehension and understanding. And what do? We bring it back to the hive. And from that, we have a liquid, a fluid, a drink, it says in the Quran here. Of varying colors. It's not all black, it's not all white. It's varying colors straight through the spectrum of the rainbow. And that honey is a healing for us. And if we walk out the door, and as we walk out the door, we're going to be assaulted with issues. Every second we're walking around, we're going to be assaulted with issues, with people who don't who don't care for their bodies, with people who don't care for their minds, people who don't care for each other, people who don't care for their homes, people who on and on and on. And it's talking about people. And we'll be assaulted from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to sleep again. And if we have any sense, we'll take Allah's advice and we go to this Quran, and then from that word, from the word that Allah gives us, we'll go out into the world and into the society and all these spheres of knowledge and bring something back to the hive to heal these problems in our society. The world that we see, the secular world that we see, is a world that's living as a drone. It's living as a drone. It's on a material level. And we all know we got to leave these bodies, whether you want to or not. One of these days, the angel gonna come and take you, whether you want to go or not. And people who, nurses and people who work with people who die a lot, or see people, witness people dying a lot, they know that there's some people who struggle and some people who just go on. And so whether we want to fight or not, it's still going to happen. So do we want to stay on the drone level? Like the people that we see in most of our day, living on a drone level? That's all they want to do, is stay in the experience of sensuality, or the sense level, rather than going deeper. And you got all them plants out there, that you need to draw from. And then inside of your body, you have this honey. Allah says in the Quran, in Surah Azab, it's the surah called the Confederates. we know that Allah wants us to be productive. But in what ways should we be productive? And we hinted to it using my feeble words just a minute ago. But we're going to use Allah's words right here. Because Allah gives us the best words. Fine. Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إن المسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات والقانتين والقانتات والصديقين والصديقات والصابرين والصابرات والخاشئين والخاشئات ومتصدقين ومتصدقات والصائمين والصائمات وصائمات وحافظين فروجهم وحافظات والذاكرين الله كثيرا والذاكرات وأعد الله لهم مغفرة وأجرا عظيم. Surely Allah speaks the truth. And Allah is saying here for Muslim men and women, with the emphasis on Muslim, for Muslim men and women, for believing men and women, for devout men and women, for true men and women, for men and women who are patient and constant, for men and women who humble themselves, for men and women who give in charity, for men and women who fast or deny themselves, for men and women who guard their chastity, and for men and women who engage much in Allah's praise. For them, Allah has prepared forgiveness and a great reward. That spells it out. I believe that spells it out. And from what I just read, it doesn't sound like it's on a physical level at all. This is all metaphysical stuff. This is all happening in the unseen world, in the life that we have hidden within us. So we don't have to live on a drone level. We can be Muslim. We can be believing and devout and true to our word and deed. We can be patient and consistent and constant. We can humble ourselves and have charity. And we can fast and deny ourselves from the foolishness out here. And we can guard our chastity. And we can remember Allah much. Let's pray for forgiveness. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulihi kareem Muhammadan sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. So Allah gives us this message of the deed as a help for us. Allah gives us this message not to talk to us about insects, even though insects are important. But this is about the society of human beings, the society of man. And using the insect world to show us examples of what we need to pay attention to, what we need to be aware of, is just like Allah. To use something of His creation to teach us. And we know that Prophet Ibrahim, alayhi salam, he's a father. We call him the father. And he was on that 7th level when Prophet Muhammad went up into the heaven, right? He was on that level right here, where he was using that rational faculty. And this is, I believe, what this is talking about here. It's guiding us to a level to where society is elevated. Society is being guided not by some elevated individual necessarily, not by some elevated individual. How do we know this? We know it because Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not our kill for us. He's not our governor, even though we govern our lives by his pattern. And just like these imams around here, you don't go to them talking about your personal business, stuff that you can handle on your own. You know, brother imam, somebody gave me a lottery ticket at work. Can I use it? You know, ask the imam to do that. You know, brother imam, you know, my wife ain't looking so hot no more, and I'm thinking about leaving her. Should I do that? That's ridiculous. Al-Islam is here to guide us and elevate us. Al-Islam is here to give us governance, self-governance. We're not to be governed through imams necessarily, not in that direct way, because Allah has raised us, each individual person up, just like each individual bee contributes to that hive. And you know what happens when a big old bear stick his hand in the honeybee hive, or if you dare to do it. If one bee senses that you're about to harm the hive, you know what happens? Of course you know what happens. They all come at you. And they have an impact too. If you ever seen people who've been stung up by bees, you know, especially that Africanized bee. They talk to you about the Africanized bee. Yeah, people are something else. But this is really important. This is very important to think about the way that our societies are formed and the way we contribute to our societies. Now you hear conservatives in the political world, people who call themselves conservatives. I'm still trying to figure out what they're trying to conserve. But they say that there's too much government, right? They say there's too much government. Whereas Muslims, we can agree with that. I mean, when we understand what the Quran is saying, we can agree with that. We got people out here who do not govern themselves. And I mean, I'm trying to look out the window right now to see if my car is still out there. Because somebody might not be able to govern themselves. And they might take my vehicle. We don't know. But just think if you had a whole world of people who were self-governing. A whole world. We know that that's what Al-Islam is inviting us to. And we know that we are a gift to the world. If we follow Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we are a gift to the entire world. Why? When you have an entire population that's self-governed, they see $1 on the ground out there in Times Square somewhere, it stays there. It stays there. Nobody picked it up. No locks on the doors. No locks anywhere. Matter of fact, somebody find a lock, they're saying, well, what's this for? Society is constituted in such a way, if someone sees a lock and say, well, wait a minute now, why would someone need something like this to secure something when people, we haven't had a person to steal in the last 450 years. And I remember that story my grandmother used to tell me about that guy who stole something 450 years ago. That's the society we want. And we want a society where we are not drones. We are not putting ourselves in a predicament to be deserving of being stung to death. Why? Because we're not contributing nothing. All we can do is disseminate the queen. That's it. That's it. All we can do is be physical, experience fun, drink beer, watch the game, eat some chips, stand around and holler in the stadium. That's what we look for. The weekend. W-E-A-K. Imam Muhammad. Nothing I'm saying is new. Most of what I'm saying has been repeated. Imam Muhammad taught me. That's the world we're looking towards, and I believe that that's what this is guiding us to. A time when we can bring ourselves above all of this foolishness. Now, I don't know how much you all know about the reduction in the bee populations, but if you've been tuned into the news, you know in the last 5 years or so, or maybe longer, there's this incidence of reduction in the bee populations, and it's causing a great consternation among scientists around the world, because our food is a direct consequence of what the bees produce. So if we have no bees, we have no food. And so you might say, well, wow, that little bee, is that important? Yes, that little bee is that important. So just recently, they figured out that it's pesticides. You know, people making chemicals and spraying them out on the fields, and they killing different things, weeds or something, but the bees are dying too. And so what does that mean? Suddenly we gotta back up. We gotta think a little bit. We gotta go out to them plants. We gotta come back with the honey and figure out this problem. We gotta figure out how to kill the stuff we don't want to kill. I mean, or manage the weeds that want to consume the good life for us without killing the organism itself. It's a real problem. And we know it's a real problem because the same thing is happening with energy. We burn fossil fuels, right? Burning fossil fuels, ozone layer, you know, greenhouse gases, you know, maybe 30 to 40 years before it's irreversible. And so it's time for the Muslims to step up. This is talking about a pluralism now. It's not just Muslim plants out there, or people who call themselves Muslims. It's people who call themselves Jews and Sabians and Christians and everything else. But if they have that one mark, if they producing that honey is good. Even though they produce it, the honey is good. So it's a type of pluralism that we're looking for. So I want to read a couple of hadith, and I'll be through, inshallah. This is Muslim, from Muslim. It says, the best of Muslims is he from whose hand and tongue Muslims are safe. That's the best Muslim. You safe from them. Self-governed. Another one here is the best of all people are those most excellent in character. Self-government. They got the honey. The best of people are those that bring the most benefit to mankind. And the best of people are those who are best in fulfilling their own rights. And so we as African Americans, we can identify with that. Because we know about getting our rights trampled. And so this honey and this bee is for us. To be or not to be. That's the question. So let's keep at this a lot.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala salat, hayya ala salat, hayya ala falah, hayya ala falah. Qad qamat salatu, qad qamat salat. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
La ilaha illallah.
Let's make our lines straight. Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim Malik Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
آمين.
والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يؤتك ربك فترضى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث. الله أكبر.
الله أكبر.
سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر.
الله
الله أكبر.
الله
الله أكبر.
الله أكبر.
الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
آمين.
قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد. قل أعوذ برب الناس مالك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده.
ربنا ولك الحمد.